about ABCC by showing this picture. Okay, it's very unfavorable to the Americans, but after the end of the war, American government established very notorious institutions, ABCC, Atomic Bomb Casualty Commission, here in Nagasaki, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But they only studied the survivors, almost 20,000 survivors, without giving treatment. They just studied. And they took the pictures of all the survivors in the ABCCs, but they wanted to take many pictures outside. So, 1947, 2 years later, US cameraman visited all the schools in Hiroshima and take these pictures. For example, Hiroshima Tenma Primary School. So she may be around 11 or so, and they ordered in her class, they ordered to take her clothes and took these pictures outside, not in the room. Okay. So there was no financial help for treatment and for recovery of Hiroshima. No official aid. But many American volunteers helped us. Okay? For example, Norman Cousins, an American, is the most famous, most respected American. Okay? He came here 4 years later to write a reportage. And he was very interested in Hiroshima, and he did two very good things. One thing he did is let me tell you about it. As I said, almost all the elementary school students were not here. They were in the country for evacuation. So most of them came back, and they became orphans. So he asked many American citizens to send them money and letters of encouragement for 10 years. So they were very glad. And another thing he did is he invited 25 young girls, Hiroshima girls, with very ugly killers. In Hiroshima, they could not get out because other people scared them and discriminated them because of their ugly faces. And he gave them a surgical operation, plastic operation. And one of them decided to stay in America because in the US, very few citizens stayed there. They felt more comfortable in the States than in the Hiroshima. Even now, one of them is now in the US. Okay? It's a very good story. And another one. Marcel Juno. He was a chief representative of International Red Cross. His duty was to watch how the American or Australian prisoners were treated in Japan. And he heard the tragedy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and soon after the end of the war, he asked the American GHQ to give medicine, and he got 15 tons of medicine and came here, and he himself treated many victims because he was a doctor. Okay? So he was very respected. But another unbelievable thing happened. The amount of 15 tons of medicine could treat 10,000 victims only for 1 month. So he soon sent a telegram asking for another medicine. But Mr. Farrell was a second leader of Manhattan Project. He eagerly want to see the tragedy here in Nagasaki, what they did here in Nagasaki. And he was in Tokyo. And before coming to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he made a short speech. He said to the press members of Japan and foreign countries. What he said is this: now, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all the survivors who should die have already died. So now there is no victims who need treatment. After that, no treatment at all for 30 years. Let me show you who is the picture of the Farrell. This is Farrell. This is Tibet. But as I said, ordinary Americans are very, very kind. The appropriate leaders. Even in Japan, most of the leaders were stupid. For example, 70% of the Japanese dead soldiers die of hunger or malnutrition. Many, especially toward the end of the war, many Japanese soldiers were sent to the battlefield with very little food, very few bullets, very little oil. So they had to steal the food from the Chinese people. And in the southern islands, they were forced to eat raw snakes, lizards, and frogs. And they died so because of disease. So any kind of war is very stupid. So it's time to stop my guide. Is there any questions? Now, as I said, so radiation or heat rays and blast. And after that, for 10 years, most of them died of leukemia. And after that, most of them have died of cancer. So once hit by radiation, such a tragedy continues until we die because of the radiation inside our body. Always emitting a small amount of radiation and damaging the organs or genes. So all the survivors hope that such a tragedy will never happen to any person. So the one survivor said the atomic bomb was dropped not only Hiroshima and not only Nagasaki, but over all the human beings. Once the atomic bomb, another atomic bomb was dropped on somewhere, there is a possibility that all the human beings will die. But the possibility of using atomic bomb is becoming very higher and higher. So I hope that Obama will make great effort to decrease the number of atomic bombs. He is the only one president candidate who said, I will make effort to decrease the number of nuclear weapons. So Hiroshima
settlers